Welcome back to Minus 16, the tech podcast, where we've got lots to talk about, and also we're going to delve into the business of YouTube and what's new there. So, boys, how have you been? That 2 weeks has gone in a flash, hasn't it not?
Oh, crazy. Tell you what, it's been all folds and flips for me.
I just saw your latest video. It's actually one that you kind of almost trailed on the last podcast, wasn't it? It was the whole series of, was it flips?
Folds, this one.
Folds, yeah.
We've got the flip one coming. 55-minute video. Never again.
Man. I was going to need popcorn on that one.
Yeah, you will.
You were clean shaved when you started making it.
Yeah. I haven't been clean shaven for about 12 years.
That actually isn't the original line. I have to give credit to that to Quincy Jones. Apparently the demos of some of the Michael Jackson tracks, man, they were long enough to shave on. Anyway, little sidetrack. And Alex, how you been?
Good. Yeah. Busy. August is actually looking okay. But I've done 6 long form videos this month, including 2 dedicated thirds, as we call it, which is like, not really what I want to make, but it's stuff that pays for the channel to be run. But yeah, it's a lot, right? Sometimes, when you think about one video a week kind of takes most of my time. 2 videos a week average is insane. Plus a few shorts, a few trips, obviously phone launches. Actually missed one yesterday. Accidentally missed Google's launch event.
You're supposed to be there.
They never invited me. The first year that first of all, is the year that I never actually reviewed the Pixel 9. I had it for a while, but never reviewed it. So they invited me and I blew it. I completely missed it. It was just being too tired and all over the place. Missed it. It was yesterday.
Oops.
Yeah.
Oops.
I think it was a Pixel 10 event, but
right.
I can't confirm that.
And leaking is actually going to be we're going to talk about the leaks of the iPhone 17 Pros, and leaking is going to be a bit of a theme for this podcast. So if you're interested in the whole leaking culture and our views on it, make sure to stick around for a bit. So as we're sort of rounding up through summer now into, well, certainly the busier time for me, I guess. Although it has been actually surprising, but obviously September is the time that I look forward to for the big iPhone release. As every year, we're pretty pinned on now as to what we're getting, and of course these leaks of the iPhone 17 haven't been seen in a while. They're out there now. Have you taken a look at them?
A lot to say about that. Yeah, I think I did a video about a month ago about that, because the leaks, even though they were early days. The phone that's come out in the leaks now is very much what was leaked a month ago. I was disappointed to see that there's nothing more to the back of the phone than a simple extension of the module, like just making it rectangular rather than square.
Yeah, that's right.
When I saw the first renders, I thought, they've got to be doing something extra with this. There might be maybe another sensor, maybe a tiny screen there or something. I don't know. There's got to be a reason for that to be that big. But it feels like it's, and I hate to say it, right, because I want Apple to do well. I want Apple to be back to being at the top in a sense, but if kind of pushing boundaries. But it feels like it's another, almost like another dynamic island, another camera control button, is a little distraction from the fact that it's still the same thing. It's not really pushing boundaries in any way. They're merely catching up, it feels, to what's already out there.
Yeah, I don't even know if they're catching up, if I'm being brutally honest with you. That they are sticking to a very tried and tested formula. And the figures suggest, we're going to cover it, the figures suggest they are still supplying products that people want. The numbers are eye-watering. I don't know if you two are nerdy enough to be reading the financial results that came out, but do you know how many iPhones they have shipped now since 2007?
3 billion, I think, wasn't it?
You got it. They've just shipped their 3 billionth iPhone.
I saw someone, I'll go off track for a second. Someone said, Earth population 7 billion, 3 billion iPhones. That means almost half the population have an iPhone.
Like, how it works.
That's not how it works, man. That's not how it works. It's the most basic take ever.
Nice little view, though, isn't it? I'd like to be living in his world. It's very simple,
I did.
his
Also,
world.
yeah,
I
sometimes
did.
people do it on purpose, right? Just to get people irated, like rage baited.
The reality is, as safe as these phones are going to be, they'll sell. Like, people will upgrade to it. And I did read a rumor that there's an 8 times telephoto camera in the Pro now, which is probably where that bar comes in and why
Yeah.
the flash has moved so far across, because they're putting in this new telephoto. But I don't know if an 8 times telephoto is a good option, because then you've got a 1 times and then an 8 times, and then that 1 times camera has to fill in the gap in between. I just feel like that's a long gap for that 1 times camera to have to fill in.
I don't know, because with 48 megapixels, it's probably doable, right?
Probably
as
up
in
until
the
about
sense,
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah,
because if we go back to the S23 Ultra, which had a 10x optical zoom, right?
And then it was a 3 times in between the 1 and the 10. And that 3 times wasn't very good. That didn't do a good enough
No.
job, hence why Samsung switched to the 5.
But that 10x was the optics were amazing. So I think, I don't know, there's a gamble there, maybe, that the resulting image will be so good that people won't care about that gap. I don't know. I'm just kind of, I'm hoping it's something that people will go, all right, okay, I see why, they haven't done much else, because this is such an amazing camera.
But it's such a safe lineup of phones. Like, they're not testing anything. Like,
yeah,
Samsung have got the foldables. Next year, there's rumors that they're overhauling the S series lineup to be S26 Pro, S26 Edge, and then the Ultra at the top. So they're kind of doing away with the tried small, medium, large,
yeah.
and giving like a different sort of aspect to it. And then there's the foldables on top of it. Google have got foldables, Xiaomi got foldables, Honor's got foldables.
Again, I think
Apple
the
just got
rumors.
this straight lineup. It's a little bit
Yeah,
plain.
I think we are finally getting the foldable next year, and as ever, it's going to be around about $2,000. Yeah, I know they said. I think this time it is actually, because all the screen manufacturers, and obviously I'm guessing they're going to be Samsung panels, all ramping up towards it now. So I think, but I mean, their whole reason for that was they wanted the crease to be invisible. I mean, I don't know how much less invisible it can be than one of Samsung's, but
It
apparently
can be more. Yeah,
the,
I think with the
hinge. I
trifolds,
think
it'll probably be
isn't
more.
it? It's the hinge mechanism, I believe, that they're pinning all of their hopes on, to have that to be superior to any other foldable around. This year's release, though, does look very safe, to the point where I don't think I'll get the Pro. I'm going to go with the Air because it's something newer to look at. It sounds
I think as
like
a reviewer, you probably need both, right? As a business, right? You probably want to get sponsors on both models. But I think as a user, I'm actually very happy with the Pro size. Last year or this year was the first time I went with the Pro instead of Pro Max.
Pro Max.
Since back the whatever the big model was, the 16S or whatever. Since then, I've been the big phone version every single year. This year was probably the earliest I got rid of my iPhone, which was back in April. I gave my iPhone away. And I don't miss one bit.
So you're not running one at all now?
Nope, zero. No iPhones, not even the mini. Yeah, and it's been I've proved to myself that
I shouldn't. Sorry, David.
I was.
Yeah,
it's not to say that I will never have doing this job. You have to have I think you have to try out other things, but as a personal use, yeah, every single day, at least 3 times a day, I miss the fact that I can't quickly send a picture from my phone to my Mac, which is what I use to edit my videos.
Near drop.
Yeah, there are solutions out there, but nothing is as convenient.
It's seamless, yeah.
Airdropping it, right? It's just not. And then, but it's a tiny compromise for everything else that we get in the Android space that for me just works much better. So I'm okay with those 3 times a day that I'm like, oh God, I wish I had AirDrop.
You see, and that's where Apple keeps coming back. And I know there's endless videos out there about the ecosystem versus the Samsung, or whatever. There's a lot of arguments out there. The reason I think that Apple keep winning is for the majority of people who just want to buy a phone and it work with whatever else they've got.
I don't know.
Extension is a watch and an iPad, probably. It's just so simple.
Yeah, but I think it's deeper than that. I think a lot of people deep down probably know that that's not the reason they're keeping an iPhone. or keep buying an iPhone. I put a tweet yesterday. My Twitter is dead anyway, but I put it out there just for
I've given up
prosperity.
on it. I go on Threads
But
now.
a question I have is, you know, looking at this latest iPhone 17 leaks, right? Just looking at them as they are right now, which is this big horrible thing at the top, and they moved the logo down. It's like,
Yeah,
okay.
the panel down. Yeah,
So, in one way, fair play to Apple, right? Because it keeps selling. Clearly, right? They sold 3 billion of these things. But that's not about the tech necessarily. I don't think. You know, for me, it's about world class marketing and branding. But a question for the viewers here, right, and the listeners is: do you agree? You know, is that why the iPhone is successful? Because people are basically just suffering from FOMO every year because they feel like they will be missing out if they don't upgrade. So they will get the latest model just because having the latest iPhone has so much kind of underneath, right, in terms of status, in
kudos.
terms
Yeah,
of that I don't know. It's almost like wearing the latest pair of sneakers or whatever, right? I don't. There's something deeper than it works with my iPad. It works with my. I think it's deeper than that. But I'd love to know what people think.
It transcends what's happening in like people's lives and just becomes like I think I said the other week, pop culture reference. If you watch Samuel Nam's Z Fold 7 review, and he was taking the Fold 7 around and showing iPhone users, none of them had ever heard of a foldable. They'd never even. They go, "Who makes this? What?" Like,
What is this?
they are so conditioned to only believe that Apple makes smartphones and that no other brand exists, that's why they just keep going back, because there isn't that understanding of what the market offers, because they don't get exposed to it and they don't expose themselves to it, and they don't think like we do. They don't think there's a whole big wide world of things about what I can do. They just simply upgrade to the next one in 2
yeah. I
years'
think
time.
we definitely get a skewed opinion because we're reading Twitter threads, whatever, all the time, and all the forums and checking out what's going on. We're kind of obviously abreast with the current state of the market. But I totally agree with you. I think a lot of people, most people over here, as you know, Alex, wouldn't have heard of Oppo. It's a name that honor. It's not saying they don't make great devices, but people just don't hear of them. They don't know of them.
No.
At best,
Yeah.
there's really three, let's face it. Google is, and I don't think Google really care about having a handset with, they've got enough other good business plans going on. The handset is just a nice little adjunct. But really, it's between Samsung and Apple, and the majority still go to Apple. And I think there's also a hidden thing there, and I think that's services. I think Apple's services is a huge hidden underlier, because then, I can watch Apple TV on my phone. So you pay your sub for Apple TV, and things like that. Obviously they just come out the one.
It does make it hard to move. Yeah.
It does. I mean, their services were up from 24.2 billion last year in the same quarter to 27.4 billion. That's recurring income, safe return every month income. So you kind of go in and buy a phone. That's one fee, maybe over 3 or 4 years. But then they're going to get you on Apple Fitness. They're going to get you on Apple TV, Apple Music. And the services, I think that's the quiet killer almost, because then you think, oh shit, I don't want to be without that. And so then you are kind of locked into staying with.
Yeah, and they are sleek, but they're not necessarily the best either. I mean, you just take photos, for example, right? iCloud Photos. Google Photos, in my opinion, does a much better job for searching, for identifying things. Like, I don't know. Not
That's
saying that
cross-platform.
Yeah, I'm not saying the Photos is bad. I mean, they have got good search now. They are kind of giving the nice memories and making things up like little videos automatically or whatever. It's a nice little thing to have. But the thing I recommend for when people are like, I want to move away from Apple, but I don't know how to do it. So the first thing you do is move your services to an agnostic place, so that if you do regret buying, say, the Fold, because the Fold, I think, is the first year that I feel that a lot of Apple users are really considering now, seeing what the Fold 7 has come up with. That actually, hang on, this is genuinely interesting. It's not like an Honor phone that we've seen before, or something that is completely unattainable. Now they can buy it in America, and it feels like what Apple should be doing in a way. But I think that is sparking a conversation about, hang on, how would I even start to do it? And I've been saying this for a while, because a lot of people say, that's awesome, Alex. This device is amazing, but I don't know. I've got iMessage, I've got photos, I've got music. I think the first thing is, start using services that could work on both devices in case if you try for 6 months or whatever or a year and it doesn't work out, at least you're not tied into the Android ecosystem either, right? You can just continue using Google Photos on the iPhone or Spotify or YouTube Music or whatever, right? So it's the service is a big one, but I'd say for iPhone users or Apple users in general, I wouldn't be too concerned about dropping them because there are just as good, if not better, alternatives.
Yeah, I think where it's at ease though, isn't it? It's that ease factor. As soon as you buy your phone, Apple TV pops up as a suggestion. You might want to try, and of course it's free. Everybody gets Apple TV free for 3 months or whatever. Then you get into it, and that's how I started. I remember years ago thinking, "What's this Apple TV about?" Then I got into it, and now I would say probably 80% of the content I watch is either Apple Plus, originals, or via
That's
Apple
trouble,
TV.
yeah, because people will go, "All right, I can put my whole family in this," and again, you start then getting to the point where now it's not just impacting me, right? If I leave this ecosystem, I'm either going to have to double pay for something else and my family, but you're impacting your friends as well, right? Because you're now a green bubble in the group message, which is silly as hell, but it's a thing.
I mean,
or even worse, right? At the very especially like teenage community out there, there's this thing about you're not cool anymore once you don't have an iPhone, right? You're now like a poor man, like because you're using an Android.
It's almost expected that you are going to have an iPhone, isn't it? So it's that, you haven't got iPhone. Okay,
it's not cool to have one. Yeah, it's crazy. It's less of a problem here in the UK, but I think in America that's a big thing.
Oh, it's huge.
Definitely.
It's huge. Yeah. And I mean, it's something else that Apple has just done, which again is this whole thing of keeping you safely within their walls, is this Apple Care One. So now you can have 3 devices for $20 a month insured. I think the device is up to 4 years old, but I'm assuming if it's an older device, you probably have to take it to store for them to check that it is of good condition. But
they've got to do something, right?
That insurance idea is brilliant. I have it on my phone, and that was more for being stolen than damage, actually, because I figured being out so much more now, the chances of that happening are much higher. But I think that £20 a month, it's $20. I'm assuming it's going to be £20 a month for 3 devices.
Yeah, it's well worth it.
Yeah.
And I think they've had to react to that, right? Because the market was starting to go, hang on, we can now offer you 5, 6, 7. I think Honor, Samsung have 7 years of updates, right?
7 years Samsung.
Yeah, but have they got kind of this insurance in this bundle? That's what
it's like a Care Plus thing. Yeah,
Samsung Care Plus. Yeah.
Right. Similar kind of money.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
It's
well worth it. I've used it last year.
Yeah, because your phone got damaged on a beach or something, didn't it?
I drop it all the time, and I do break it. And my S25 Ultra, luckily, hasn't had any problems right now. But the S24 Ultra, it's actually being picked up today, because
the battery issue.
Yeah, it's a long story. I'm complaining, saying that it's their fault that the IP68 rating didn't work, and they're saying that it's being submerged in water, which has absolutely not happened.
Is this one you bought? This is the phone you bought, or yeah,
it's the one I bought. January last year. Yeah, so it did go into salt water, which is probably not the best thing for a phone, but it was literally a splash, right? And it didn't go into rain or definitely not submerge. But they found that the connectors, the USB-C connectors, are corroding because they've been submerged. They're like, oh, okay.
So they're saying submerged, and you're saying it was just a splash. It was just
yeah, but even if they were submerged, right? It hasn't, for sure. But even if it was, IP68 should take care of that, right?
IP68 rated up for them.
1.5 meters for 30 minutes, fresh water only.
So
it's a fresh water bit that probably did me, but it was just a splash, right? So I think it's not here or there. So I'm paying an extra 60 quid to have it replaced, because the back is expanding, which is concerning, right? Especially being a Samsung phone. It's like, I live here in the studio every night. I'm going, my God, if this thing catches fire, right? That's a real concern.
I want to go
Anyway.
back to what you said about iPhone users switching to folds, because I
Mm.
feel like the fold is like it's been 2 weeks now. We've kind of both had one. I think the Fold 7 is the first time a Samsung foldable is ready for mass market adoption.
It's beautiful.
I think previous folds, like I got the Fold 6 here, they've been great for the enthusiast. Like I love the Fold 6. I think the thicker sides are great to unfold it. It's got
I
a
love
nice
that
strong
too.
hinge.
Yeah.
I love the under display camera, but I think as a form factor, it's a bit too thick and it's slightly too heavy. Whereas I think the Fold 7, being that more natural cover screen, being
I feel
thinner, being
comfortable. Yeah.
lighter, is more comfortable for the masses to adopt it. And I think it's the first foldable that's kind of ready for the big time.
It,
And that's
it's
probably why it's appealing to iPhone users a bit more than what it has done in the past.
Here's a little story, right? 'Cause I think it always brings it to life when you kind of experienced it in the wild, right? So I was at a cafe the other day and I had it open. It's so natural now, right? Before I used to be like self-conscious almost of using it like a tablet. And because it was also a bit heavy, I rarely took it out of the studio or of the house unless it was in a case. With the 7 is so malleable that it's like I can just, just whip it out
And
and
it
use
just
it.
exists, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like not thinking, just using, in a cafe, and I went to pay, and I just did this in front of this, coffee coffee place worker. I just closed it and went to tap it, and she thought, "Oh my God, I thought you literally just broke your phone in half," because I did it without thinking, right? We just do that.
David Blaine has come amongst us, yeah.
But because that's she didn't see the crease. She just saw a big screen and thought it was a tablet. And when I folded it, she was like, "Oh my God, did you just break your phone or something?" Yeah, it was a interesting
See,
reaction to see that.
and see, this is another point I've got. I know, and I think having been there with you and touched it and sort of felt what the folds are like, I know how premium they are. Now, Apple's thing has always been, it's been almost their byline, that we won't be the first, but we'll be the best. How much better we're waiting another year, and how
There's
much
room,
better
yeah.
can it be? So what would
There's
you
room
see
for
Apple do?
improvement.
So what would you see if you were putting an unbiased hat on? Then what would you see Apple do to make their fold better?
I told Samsung to their faces. So last week there was like here in London they've got this graffiti tunnel thing. It's
I saw
called
your pictures of that, yeah.
yeah, it's called the Banksy tunnel. So you go in there and anyone can go with a spray can, and it's legal to to spray your way over there. So we took this Fold 7 there with Samsung, and there's this guy in the UK. He's a product guy for Samsung named Kadesh. He's presenting for Samsung all the time. But yeah, I was, after the event, we got dinner and whatever. We was chatting. Everyone left. I just stayed because it's like,
Smart.
what opportunities do we have, right, to speak directly to people that are so close to the product? And he was quite like direct and say, okay, gloves are off. What can we do to improve it, in your opinion? And I was like, okay, well, that's two immediate things would be, one is the camera, the telephoto camera. Even though 2-3 years ago, you could expect that the foldable is not for a market that cares about the camera. Whereas now, because they made it almost, it's a slot phone now, it's like, yeah, people will care about the camera. So yes, I would improve the telephoto. That the one that we've got here is barely usable, but it's not really something that you would go, oh wow, it's a nice. On a phone that costs this much, it deserves a better telephoto. I think that's just expected.
Point number one, straight away.
Yeah. The other one is it's one that I know it's kind of out of their control. He didn't mention why, but there are some rumors out there that this hole, the sponge hole,
Yeah, the punch hole there.
Yeah.
That's an atrocity. And I said that to him. Said it was fine before. What happened? I kind of
It was under display before, wasn't it?
No, there's some sort of. I mean, I'm just going off what I've seen on Reddit and Twitter, but there's some sort of dispute that whatever they were using isn't, whatever. But it's a shame that they couldn't come up with something else, or in my humble opinion, just not have it there at all. But the official wording was, there's a big demographic of sort of 40 to 65 who take selfies using this camera. Like, okay. And they don't, if they don't look at the camera where it is today, it will look off-centered on the selfie. So it's there because the selfies would look centered. I didn't exactly buy that one, but yeah, that's the official wording. But yeah, those are the two main things I'd say
Both camera
would
related.
need improving, the inner camera. And there's a third one that it's probably one that they would have, if they had another year, they would have done it. And I would be absolutely shocked if they don't do, which is the front display being less reflective. I mean, you can probably see here as well, right?
Oh, yes, of course. Because Samsung have really nailed the anti-reflection, haven't they?
Why is it? Oh, hang on. It's not,
Yeah.
yeah, you can see the lighting there, right? It's crazy. I mean, it's bright as hell. It's really good outdoors. It reminds me a little bit.
Excellent outdoors, actually. I will say it's actually been superb outdoors.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of the Xiaomi. The Xiaomi isn't anti-reflective either, the 15 Ultra, but I think it's 3000 nits as well. I'm not sure, maybe even a bit more. But yeah, it's so bright that you don't mind the reflection so much because you can still read and see everything clearly. And there's a similar story there with this one. But yeah, those are the three immediate things I'd say. Anyone, not just Samsung, but yeah, if Apple was to do a foldable. So yeah, clearly, I don't think it's far to be, Apple ready, if you like, if that's a thing. But in fact, I think they're already late to the party.
I was just going to say, with the anti-reflective, I had a thought yesterday. What if Samsung intentionally have left it off the Edge and the Fold this year because they sell anti-reflective screen protectors as an accessory, and it pretty much does the same job as what the Ultra does. So I was like, what if they had intentionally have left it off the other phones so they could sell that small accessory and get a small bump in their accessory? That could be a business move that they've
Would it
done.
make it thicker as well? It does that?
Yeah. So the ceramic glass that's on the front here, the ceramic sheet, whatever they want to call it, the Gorilla Glass, has been used on the thin phones. So the Edge and the Fold have got that Gorilla Glass ceramic versus Gorilla Glass armor. So I think there might be something to do with the thin profile of the phones that maybe it needed a thinner glass and the anti-reflective nature of it couldn't be implemented. I don't know. That's probably a technical reason as well, but maybe they just didn't try because they're like, we can just sell an accessory. That's just the business sense coming out, I guess.
Yeah.
But
There's another one that I'm just in a few weeks now that I've kind of started to notice is very slippery, especially when it's open. So if you don't have a case, which I don't, when you're using it, yeah, depending on how you're holding it, sometimes you can use the camera bump itself as a place to put your finger and hold it there. But I don't know. I think there's less grip going on here in comparison to Fold 5, 6, which was a little bit more
that
just taking your hand a
in-depth,
bit easier.
that formerly in-depth reviewer that we've agreed amongst us not to name in person on our podcast, he or she said, "Oh, it's too thin to open now. There's nowhere. It's too thin. You can't get your fingers in to open it." And I thought that's pushing it. I mean, I opened up at the event. It was perfectly fine. If that was all she
It's not.
could find,
That's BS. Yeah, that's like.
Yeah.
It just there's a little bit more care at first. This is what I said in my review. When you first start to use it, especially if you're used to the thicker Fold 6, you just need to be a bit more aware of opening it because it is thinner. But once you get muscle memory and you start to practice,
you know how to use it.
You'll know how to use it straight away. And it just feels so good. Oh,
now,
like I cannot describe to you. I mean, I should be able to because that's technically what I do for a living. Like how good it is to open that up and close it to a normal phone. It's just so good.
Both of you have said that you kind of think that this is the phone that now could go into mass. This is the phone where the foldables could become. Are people ready to splash out £2,000 on a phone? That's the problem. That is a huge amount of money.
If there was an Apple logo in it, people would. Yeah.
Judging by the pre-order numbers here in Australia, the final print, because officially went on sale in Australia today, it seems as if people like the Fold was far and away the most pre-ordered one of the three phones that they launched. And that's just because the pre-order period is normally the loyalists and the Fold is a loyalist phone. But I think judging by the global pre-order numbers as well, I feel like they are. And I feel like it kind of makes sense that this is the one they're jumping in on because it seems to be the most ready for that mass consumer adoption.
Don't forget that not many people will pay that full
No, it's
price,
going to be an
right? I
upgrade.
think I would never
Trade-in.
recommend anyone to pay full price for a new phone, right? Because you got trade-ins, you've got deals, you've got bundles and stuff. But even if, yeah, because that's that actually works against Samsung sometimes, right? Because I was looking at how much I paid for my Fold 6 last year. It's 1,800, I think, and with the discounts, it came down to maybe 1,400 or something like that. I couldn't sell it for more than 800. I sold it for I think just under £800. It loses value quickly, unfortunately.
I just bought a Fold 6 back after I had one last year for
$700.
£450, about $900, and it
Year
just
old.
arrived.
That's
A
painful.
year old,
450
yeah.
quid. Oh my
I got
god.
a good deal. Most of them are around there for $1,500, but I found one at $900, and I went done. And I had an eBay voucher, but I got the Flip as well. Flip 7 is
Yeah,
here,
nice. Yeah.
One of
and
Sam's wallpapers.
this is one of Sam's wallpapers. Yes, it is. You
I've been
you saw my
watching.
Twitter. So this has get a lot of attention. Whenever I use the cover screen on this, people are asking me, "What's that?" And then I open it up and I go, "It's a phone." They're like, "That's insane." This is getting a lot of attention from its aesthetic, just because of the fact it's this all screen, no bezels, compact square. But
I'm unfortunately
it's not a flip
past
guy.
the age of using. Yeah,
Yeah, same.
it's a fun device to use. Bloody hell, it's so fun to use. But yeah, I made a conscious decision of not reviewing that because I don't know, I can't get behind it really. It's fun. I probably lots of young people will go for it, but I don't know.
So
Not for
moving
me.
it on from the phones to Macs, I saw with interest that you picked yourself up an M4 MacBook Air. Now, I wrote a piece recently, I think it made a video about it as well, saying I decided not to go for the M4 MacBook Air. I've got the M3 MacBook Air, and I didn't think it was enough to warrant. And I've been using it a lot this week while I've been away, and it's been
Honestly,
bloody
the
brilliant.
M4 chip is such a bump. I had the M3 as well. Yeah, I'm actually doing a second video on it because it's such a popular thing. So whenever I get I think I did that with the M1, the M2. I do like a day in the life as a particular thing. So I think the next video is as a graphic designer. Not that I am one, but what I get is, I get the community to send me a workflow. So like, tell me almost like a step-by-step how you would, push this machine using Illustrator or whatever. So yeah, I mean, this is it here. It's, I went for the blue one this time. If you can tell it's our blue. But yeah, it's awesome. This is the cheapest one. You can get now for like 800 quid, $800 in some places. Insane. I mean, it's almost like the Mac is exactly like the Mac Mini from a value perspective.
This week,
Because I'm putting it through its paces and it's able to do stuff that my M1 maxed out MacBook Pro. It's almost equal in terms of
when I was
performance.
away this week, I took that as my only Mac with me, and I was able to put together. I thought, well, the best ways of getting all the video footage kind of in a. So I had an idea. What I had was just to make a basic timeline, at least, just to start it, not do anything fancy. It handled that easily, but more impressively, it was doing denoising, adding blur effect, all these kind of effects in Lightroom, just as if I was working on a desktop. It was just phenomenal.
Yeah,
and I was, I was using presets and adding all sorts of Moire effects on it and vignettes and
the fact that there's no cooling on this, right? So it does get warm when it's rendering something or exporting stuff, but it's nothing that I haven't seen so even though there's no fans, it's incredible really how it performs. It does. People use throttling as the word, but I think it does slow itself down a little bit to, when it gets like 110 Fahrenheit, 42, 43 degrees. But you expect that on any machine, right?
Yeah.
Even with fans.
I think it seems Apple are perfectly happy with those M4, the Apple Silicon to run at sort of 90s, 95s. They haven't got an issue with that at all, which is crazy when you think about how hot that's running, and it still performs well.
When you consider it's a tiny package, right? That you can take it anywhere, work from anywhere. The battery lasts all day and some. It's one of those. Actually, it stopped in my tracks when I was doing the review because I knew it was good. Just using it, every now and then I kind of go, oh, this is a fast machine. But when you're actually doing a review, you do try to go, right, what's going to
What's the weakness?
catch people's attention is like trying to break it. And I'm like, exporting this render file, which most people won't do on a MacBook Air, right? That's a pro workflow. Yeah, very heavy one that I've used the M1 Max as a test, the M4 Pro Mac Mini as a test, and it takes 2 hours to render this thing, and it's taking the same time on the MacBook Air. And I've got like 40 tabs open on Chrome, another 20 open in Safari, and the memory, I can see the memory like is going into the orange pressure. I can see the swap files being used, but it's doing what it's supposed to do, and it's managing. And I'm not seeing it getting slow. I'm able to work whilst that render is going, which is the incredible thing. Really, there is an issue, which is, and this is outrageous, really, in 2025. But we see that not just Apple, but we see that clearly with Apple, of where they push you to upgrade from the base model. For them to sell a 256 gig internal SSD in 2025, for me is criminal, really, because once you've got macOS in there, and I've got a problem with that. 20... I'm surprised the EU hasn't caught up with this, because it's like, actually, it's not 256 gig. No, what you've got to work with is 215.
Yeah, because I did a test on my iMac, and I think I looked on there, OS was about 22, 23 gigs, something like that.
Yeah, it comes out of the box with 215 gig free, which, I mean, you can buy a $200 phone with more than that. Right? So,
how are you getting on with your Apple Silicon, Daniel? Because, of course, you moved over, didn't you?
Yeah. I've put it through its paces. Like, I've been pumping out videos. I will say I've had it see its first stutters, and it's probably a Premiere Pro issue versus it being Apple Silicon.
Cut, mate.
Yeah, Premiere Pro has had a couple of freezes, but nothing that's been too disastrous. I just force quit and then reopen it, and then it's fine. But the export times are great. The fact I can run it on battery and have the same power.
I know you said you were doing that quite a lot, weren't you, at cafes and stuff and editing? And
I was for a bit, but I've had this Samsung monitor that I've had a loan for a month, and I've kind of just been trying to use this as much as I can before it goes back next week. And I haven't even filmed enough content. Anyway, it's another story. But it's working next to me, and I never hear it. Like my Book 4 Ultra, whenever I was editing on that, plugged into the monitor,
you definitely hear the fan.
Man, I thought that would. Is it raining outside? No, that's just my laptop. Whereas the MacBook Pro, I haven't heard a peep.
Bliss,
not
isn't
a
it?
Every now and then
drop.
Yeah. If I do like a crazy 20 minutes or 30-minute video with lots of layers, that's the only time when it's exporting that video 4K 60 that I will hear that faint little thing. I mean, you can barely hear it even when it does go on. This machine, I could have had the M3, the M4, but I don't see the reason to upgrade. Is when you talk about sweating the asset, this is a fantastic example. Not an issue at all. I mean, you do start to see the beach ball every now and then when you start to really go crazy with plugins and whatever. But those are rare occasions, really. It's still an amazing machine. 4 years on, 4 or 5 years. What is it?
Didn't you
4
say you
years,
had a
right?
Windows machine there as well now? An Windows machine. So what's that about? How's that comparing up?
The Book 4 Edge that I've got here, it's just a very thin Snapdragon, so Windows on ARM, which is, I guess, Windows and Snapdragon trying to compete with Apple Silicon. Having a mobile processor in a PC. The reason why I got it was because I wanted a portable productivity machine that fit within my Samsung ecosystem. Because as good as the MacBook Pro and macOS is designed, in my opinion, for for creativity, I love some of the features that it's got, like pressing the spacebar to preview the videos. Unbelievable. What a feature. When I name the files, it's so convenient to just press the spacebar, see what the video is, and then name the B-roll. Man, Windows could only dream. Here's a story. Whenever I was trying to rename B-roll on the Windows PC, it would often, after I closed it, tell me that it's too early to rename the file. Oh, it's still running. Like it's not though. And I would have to press enter like 10 times before it would actually rename the file. So for that, I love macOS. But I hate macOS for productivity. And that's probably because I'm just not in Apple's ecosystem. So my notes aren't there. Quick share's not there properly. Like the email,
All the reasons I
actual,
love it, the reasons you don't like it. Yeah.
right. The actual operating system, I feel itself, like I miss having a start menu. I miss how the dialog boxes for Windows works, like the snapping Windows left to right using the keyboard. I love all of that stuff with Windows. The keyboard, anyway, all of that on Windows I prefer. So I needed a machine that would do that. So I picked this up, and yeah, I love it. Like I love that it's just a kilo light in weight. Like it's so light and thin and very compact. Like this for me is better than a tablet. I barely use my Tab S9 Ultra now.
Will you
Is
switch
that
back to
touch screen as well?
Pardon?
Is that touch screen?
Screen, dynamic AMOLED 2X, 120 hertz, anti-reflective coating. Like it is a great laptop
So will
to
you
use.
move your editing workflow back onto that then?
No, this
It's
as
like a
much as
MacBook Air, right? It doesn't have the grunt.
MacBook Air kind of equivalent, but
Right,
also
okay.
Premiere Pro is only just coming in on ARM for Windows in beta, and I still don't think that's going to be ready enough. It's apparently missing half the feature set right now in this form the way it is. So I think maybe in like a year or two, it might be ready. As of now, though, I think Apple's just too far ahead with their Apple Silicon for creativity to even consider switching back to a Windows laptop for me for creativity. Productivity, though, man, this thing's a killer.
It's such a polar opposite, right? What Apple is doing with the Macs is just incredible value, even at the high end Macs. I'm not sure so much about the iMac, but the Mac Mini, the MacBook Pro, the MacBook Air, I think they're even the Mac Studios, insane, really. What you can get for your money.
Just before we
Whereas when it comes to smartphones and tablets, I mean, maybe iPadOS 26 will change that a little bit now, but up until now, I don't think we get value for money on handheld with Apple. Whereas
if you don't mind,
it's incredible.
If you don't mind using external storage with Apple as well, you can get a base model SSD, like a 1 terabyte or 512. Like everything I've done this last month has been edited off a T9 Samsung SSD. I haven't even used the internal storage. I've just used a normal T9 SSD, and it is still blazing fast for all the editing.
Like, don't know if you can see.
I can see it.
Just out
Is
of
that
frame.
Cassis?
Yeah.
So that's 8 terabytes here constantly attached to my Mac. Even though I've got a NAS here, nothing beats the speed of having something locally attached. So
same.
Samsung is giving me the new 9100, a 4 terabyte 9100 with the heatsink on it. So I'll have to get this enclosure for that, and that's going to be even faster than what I'm using. So I think there's workarounds if you want to find them. As long as you
Thunderbolt 5, it can be like on the M4 Pro chip, you can get Thunderbolt 5 on the Mac Mini for less than 1,000, just over 1,000. It's like Thunderbolt 5, something
External
like this
SSD,
with 4 terabyte or even 8 terabyte. Happy days, right?
Yeah,
it's actually faster in some tests that I've seen, faster than the internal disk.
That's exactly.
It's 80 gigs, right? It's 80 gig per second, and you've got all the bandwidth on the chip. So
I've got exactly that same drive, the Acasis one with 4 terabytes, my Mac Mini, and then virtually all the editing I do is on another Acasis Thunderbolt 4 drive that I flip between here and my MacBook Pro at home. That's what I edit on, because I can just take that workflow with me wherever I have to be, carry on.
It gets warm. It does get hot.
Does get warm.
It's like I've used it for literally over 3 years. I've used the setup. He runs the channel. Yeah, no problem.
And you mentioned that I'm loving NAS life. I'm going to put some RAM into it, and also some SSD into it.
It is a life changer, isn't it? And that convenience to go home sometimes and just get your storage from home.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think if I'm on the road, I think having I mean, it's a little bit less convenient with the MacBook Air, because the reason people buy a MacBook Air is because it's such a light thing, and you can just whip it out and work.
Yeah.
You don't want anything hanging off of it.
No, exactly.
But if you want to save a bit of money, if you're like a student or whatever, even if you get one of those smaller one. Like I've got those as well. The kind of the crucial ones, like the tiny 2 terabyte for 80 quid or whatever. Amazing. Even though it's not as fast as a NVMe storage, it's definitely workable.
And I just mentioned we were going to talk figures. I know we're going to talk about the whole Prosser situation at the back end now, but just to round out on those figures I mentioned, their Q3. Now this is their dead quarter. This is the quarter when they don't expect much. They've had WWDC. There's no products, so it's flat. 95 billion was their turnover for this quarter. iPhone sales were up to 13.5% year on year, and they turned over 44.6 billion in iPhone sales in this quarter. It's the figures they posted this week. Tariffs have cost them 800 million, apparently. And services I've mentioned, they got 27.4 billion. And there was another headline. Oh, Apple Watch users. They've seen a big increase in Apple Watch buyers, and half of the new Apple Watch buyers are first-time owners of Apple Watches, which means obviously they've now unlocked another whole generation. That's their first Apple Watch. You just know they're going to get.
If there's an ecosystem glue, that's that one. Like getting rid of Apple Watch, because it's like you have to have the iPhone, right? It's
yeah, exactly that. And they had this call with Tim Cook. The analysts have a 5-10 minute call before the figures are announced, or just after the figures are announced, and they were sort of trying to around to AI, and you could almost see Tim saying, "We've just done 100 billion in a quarter, near enough." I think people are running with us while we sort out AI. It was that kind of approach. And we talk about mergers and acquisitions. He said, well, we bought 3 companies this year. And his term was, we'll buy a company that helps accelerate our roadmap. So I think what he's saying is, if we think we can buy a company that's going to help us improve our Siri, that's what we'll do, rather than go and buying
code for, we can't figure it out ourselves, so let's just throw money at the problem and hope that it works.
When you've got that much money, who wouldn't? If you could just buy your way out of problems and go and buy the best.
I wonder if they placed all their chips on partnering with Google, and that didn't happen.
He actually mentioned for the first time ever, he mentioned a Google word, because he was asked about what's going to happen. Are you noticing a slump in Safari being used for search with AI? And he said, I don't really care, because people are searching with OpenAI on our iPhones. And it's like, okay, fair enough. Yep. I mean, that's the thing. Whichever way they turn, they kind of, you can drop them in shit and they still come up smelling of roses, because they've got enough grunt to buy into every conceivable. And he said, if the Google things go, he didn't want to be drawn, but he did actually mention Google, which is unheard of for Tim. He said, if their court case goes against them, we'll face that when we come to it, kind of thing. But it's interesting. He actually acknowledged Google.
It's in a way, okay, well done, right? But as an organization, who can blame them for being so profitable? But as a, I don't know, as a symbol of innovation and whatever, that Apple used to be, it's sad really to see that they're kind of resting on their laurels, really, not really looking to go, right, you know what, screw OpenAI, screw Google, we've got our own, and this is what I think that's the ballsy Apple that I personally miss.
Yeah, I agree. Whether that ship has sailed, and I don't know, maybe R2, but that's what we covered that in the last pod, didn't we? So I want to say this to you boys.
I've got suing people, right? Suing YouTubers. We've got to be careful.
I've got the brand new OS on here, boys. I'm going to show it to you now. You might want to record it. If you say yes, I'll give you a job or a nice fat paycheck somewhere down the road. Are you interested in getting some renders off of it? So, of course, we're talking about Prosser.
If you send me Bitcoins, I'll take it.
So, as we recorded our pod last time, it was just beginning to kick off. I think literally as we hit record, the paperwork was being filed, and I think Prosser was getting the paperwork through, and Apple have sued him, all because he was showing what.
Should we tell people what he does? Because maybe some people might not know who we were talking about.
He's not very visible at the moment, so it might be a good idea. Yeah. Are you going to fill in? Because I know you used to watch him a lot.
Yeah. So before the channel got going, I used to back in 2020. I used to watch him a lot, pretty much every week. So I thought it was fun, kind of Apple news stuff, leaks and things like that. But I kind of very quickly kind of lost interest, because I don't know, I saw something, it was just me. It was just kind of something that he did to people who he works with.
Yeah, it was on Twitter, wasn't it? Yeah.
I've seen, it was some claims, right? At the end of the day, I don't know both sides in full. I just saw what this one person posted who worked with him and said that he was doing like the music, the graphics, the thumbnails and whatever, and didn't get paid, and made this whole thing public, and it was a bit ugly, and everything pointed to Jon Prosser not paying this guy basically, right? And I thought, okay, well that's a bit crap. So I kind of fell off. The interest completely went. But that he continued to do that very successfully, right? He ran his channel. He became almost like a news, almost like a more serious.
Well, he turned
In
into
the last couple of years,
documentaries.
right? He's done a few good pieces of documentary style videos that I thought, okay, that's actually a good thing to see that he's maturing in that way. But what came out recently is that he's in a way you could say that he's kind of going back to his old ways of trying to do things quick and dirty, and trying to get access to leaks in ways that, I don't know. First of all, I don't think leaks help the industry at all. I mean, it's interesting for us sometimes, right, because we get access to stuff before they come out and we can start talking about it ourselves. But I'd much rather not. I would much rather be surprised at the event and say, right, this is something completely new, like it used to be. There's no leaks, but leaks, of course, are part of the machine now. Right? Some companies do it on purpose. They'll accidentally leak stuff to get people talking about it. It's part of their marketing strategy to leak stuff. But what he did, and you can now fill the gaps, because kind of this was just some background on Jon Prosser and what he did and who he was.
I think over the course, did you watch Jon much, Daniel? I know he's obviously not in your wheelhouse, but
no, I probably hate watched him a couple of times, just because of the fact that I worked for Samsung at the time he was sort of coming up to prominence, and at the time I would watch sort of everything to sort of get a really understanding of the market and the responses, the reaction. And he popped up in my feed, and I remember, like, if he ever talked about Samsung, I maybe would watch him at launch times, but never outside. He was not in my rotation of creators that I would, keep abreast and
cycle
watch.
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, the kind of his growth over the last, I would say, 8 to 10 months has been very much from the leaks and the fuppeter kind of jokey joke over to this documentary, and it's FPT documentaries. And he's made a couple of, as you mentioned, very, very good ones. So I think it was almost signs that he was trying to mature. And for some reason this year, the story, as I understand it, was one of the developers at Apple had the new OS on a developer phone. He went to stay with somebody. The guy he was staying with, once the guy who owned his phone went out for a walk or a run, left his phone on the desk, the guy happened to know his code, unlocked the phone. This is what the allegation and that he's being sued for. Showed the phone with the new OS to Prosser. He videoed it, then showed that video to renders artists, and that's how they got their renders made. Somebody recognized...
just to be clear, this is iOS 26 renders.
26, as it is now. Yeah, that's right. And that's why the renders were so deadly accurate, and Apple are massively pissed off. Now, this brings us where apparently, from a journalistic point of view, he made a mistake, was he offered money and or job, is what's being said. So if I give you this, if you give me that information, I will give you money, I'll pay for that. And as you know, the rule of thumb with journalists is you do not pay for your leads. If they come to you with information and it's verified, as a journalist, you're kind of okay to run with it. If it's come to you in the right manner. But once you start offering jobs, money, then that's you've transcended the end. You've gone over, you've crossed the line, and you're going to very, very murky waters.
And I guess the job offered, I'm just guessing here, I don't know the details, but I'm guessing the job would be on the condition that they still work with Apple as well, right? It would be like a double agent of sorts.
Because he's obviously going to want, his pound of flesh, and that's
what
going to be
other value would this person have, right, to work for him, if not to bring more leaks in future?
Now, Jon has put up a tweet. Yeah, Jon has put up a tweet saying that's not how it completely went down. So we've got to wait. The paperwork has been there. Luke Miani put up the complete paperwork from Apple. If you wanted to read the full filing, it is there to be seen. It's all gone very, very quiet. Now, my only issue, and I can see it both ways here, it looks quite unsavory for a company that's just turned over 100 billion in a quarter to be going after one little man. This is a guy, they could have quite easily gone to him quietly and
bit of a slap on the wrist.
Anyone would be shitting themselves if Apple even came to you and said, look, back off. We'll let you off this time. Do not do it again. But the fact they've gone
and
after,
they've done that to creators, right?
they have.
To creators just by saying something,
Or even
like,
having dummy phones or something like that. I've seen it.
Yeah, yeah.
or releasing beta information, which is, in their terms and conditions, they are absolutely right. It actually say you shouldn't be sharing that publicly.
So then it comes, what do you guys feel? I mean, should a company, it is their IP, it's totally their property, it shouldn't be leaked. Somebody come out, but, and this would apply equally to Samsung if it was let out. Should these big companies be seen to be bullying people like, he's a bigger and better version of us, isn't he? He's just, 500,000 subs,
Yeah,
but he's a
I
YouTuber,
think-
he's a one-time.
Just my take on this is, if they're going to do that to Jon Prosser, who is ultimately a YouTuber, a big YouTuber and a successful, massive channel, massive following, if they're going to do that to him, they should do that to the bigger players, right? Like Bloomberg, for example, who weekly talk about leaks from Apple.
Yeah.
So
It depends though on how, like as you said, the leaks come about. I can see why Apple have probably taken a stance here, just because the fact that
it's quite
early,
widespread. Yeah.
well, that early on in the process of the software being developed, if that leaks out and another developer then rushes out, liquid glass or the new camera layout and beats Apple to market with it,
that's huge.
That could be quite catastrophic to Apple's bottom line going forward, because then they can claim that they developed it, even though it was a leaked build that they saw. Then they just rush something out. That's happened to Samsung. I heard stories when I worked there of LG stealing, I think, the Galaxy S8, the little rounded corners of the Galaxy S8, because at that point all the phone screens were square in the corner, and then the Galaxy S8 was like one of the first ones to have like a curved corner at the radius. And someone from LG had a spy within Samsung and stole that and rushed it out to market before the Galaxy S8. So Samsung had developed it, and then it was stolen by another company. So I can absolutely see where Apple would be like, you know what? We can't let this slide.
That's corporate espionage, right? That's like
100% it is. And that's kind of, this is like a lower level of that, like corporate espionage in a way. It's instead of another company stealing it, but it is exposing Apple's proprietary property that wasn't even ready to be shared. It was 100% confidential and internal project. So I can see why they're going after him. And he is completely flouted time and time again, and, his history of how he treats other people. I think this is just an example now of, well, he's just pissed off the wrong company. And now it's just
think it's
coming back
also,
at him.
I mean, in fact, we said he is quite big and successful. Do you think, if they're going to go for anybody in our area, do you think they decided, right, we're going to go for one of the bigger ones and we are going to scare the hell out of everybody else who's even thinking of it now? If we go after him,
think twice, right? Because if the information is out there and it's public, I think it's fine, right, to kind of talk about it. But I wouldn't go out of my way to kind of seek information that's not out there, and much less pay for it, right? It's like, geez, that's great. And to come up with a render that's your own idea, so like, this is what I think it should be or whatever, fair enough. But to say, this is the actual design that I've seen,
and it was ridiculously close. Looking back, it was damn close. You can see it was the seeding of what was going on. And out of the three of us, Daniel, I'm guessing when you were in your position, I know you weren't necessarily full R&D, but you got to know before the public about what was coming out, right?
Yep.
So what kind
months ahead?
What kind of rod of steel did they have over your head then to make sure none of that got out? Because there's you and there's loads of other yous, isn't there? So there's a whole seabed of people out there that could.
Right? You've got to sign NDAs and whatever. Yeah.
How serious would they be on it? So if you were to have some information and you let it out, how serious could they have come down on you?
Well, you depends on the leak and the leak of information. It depends on what you did. But for one, you'd lose your job immediately. It would be an immediate dismissal. And then depending on how widespread it goes, the information you shared, there's possibilities of being held liable in court and damages. Like that's a chance.
Were you shown either pictures or physical copies of handsets months before they came out? Presumably, yes.
Yes.
And that's the kind of stuff they would have, if you'd ever have leaked any of those images, that's the kind of stuff they would have been.
Samsung are quite good as well at protecting themselves. Like a lot of the images you get are watermarked, and there's sort of embedded code in the image itself. So
they
even
can
if
track
you
it
were
back.
to,
Yeah.
100%. But their internal email system, there's a encryption on top of all the copies that get circulated to everyone. So like even if you were to send something external, they couldn't open it because it's password protected. There's encryption on it. So there's a whole host of measures that they take. But you kind of buy into the whole thing of not leaking because you are the brand. You feel passionate about it. You don't want. I hated leakers just as much as what you guys probably do because I hated people knowing before because my job was to tell people about it before. So I wanted them to be
Yeah.
excited. Yeah. So yeah, I detested it
So,
at the time.
really naive question here. It might be stupidly naive of me to ask this. When you came home at night, did you ever talk to your missus about it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
I
right.
would.
So then, if she
Yeah,
goes out and
It's
mentions,
not MI5.
yeah,
no, but this stuff, but it kind of, your job's on the line, right?
yeah,
Your
but
reputation.
yeah, but the
If,
oh, spousal privilege. Like there's sometimes you just talk about your job, and she'll see if there's a device sitting on the bench. Like, sometimes I had it a couple weeks early. She'll see
I
it
know
there, but
she probably
she
really couldn't get
could
that
not
much of a toss about it
be.
anyway. But
She could not care less. I would
yeah,
show her like, here's the new phone, and she'll be like,
yeah,
I guess it'd be
okay,
different if your missus worked for a competitor, right? That that
hundred
would be
percent,
that would be very different. And
100%.
awkward.
Yeah,
yeah.
that probably there would be some. I'd have to probably let
Extra
Samsung.
protected. Yeah.
There'd be extra stuff that would have to take place.
So as it stands at the moment, the Prosser thing's in abeyance. It's all gone very, very quiet. He's only put out one tweet. He hasn't made any, although he hasn't been making videos recently anyway. I mean, it used to be, as you said, once a week. Now that's gone. I don't know how he's making
Yeah,
his living now, but
I think it's for the best. I think it's hopefully this will change. I mean, because he clearly has a talent and he's got very
God,
good
yeah,
way of communicating. Right?
yeah,
If,
he's
if you
unique.
like
Yeah,
if you like that content, I think there's plenty of avenues that he could go and still continue to be successful. But I think when I say it's good, I don't wish anyone to be sued or lose money or whatever. But it's good for the tech world, I think, because I don't know, we can be creative and kind of do our jobs without having to rely so much on leaks and stuff. Because
yeah,
I use leaks if they're available and they will help grow the channel. Why
yeah,
not, right? And I've
yeah.
got good friends. I think we early on, as my son is walking past, early on we interviewed Saran from Saran Bikes
Yes,
here.
yeah.
His entire channel is very much like that. He's relying on information that comes out of leaks. But he's also doing it in a way that is more journalistic and kind of putting his opinion on stuff, which I think is fine. But yeah, if this means that we're going to stop seeing this underhand stuff going on, so be it. I think that's good.
Well,
Yeah,
Samsung just recently closed a loophole. People were gaining access to internal software files through a server that Samsung had, and I installed multiple builds of it on my phone.
Yeah.
And that's just been plugged. Samsung have been made aware of it, and now that's been gone. So the thing was, though, that no one was having to con anyone to get access to it. Someone just found this
it was a sort of a
server.
loophole.
It was just kind of a loophole that they
Yeah,
hadn't closed, and now they've closed it, which I was annoyed about because
It happens in every industry, right? A few years ago, I was working for Dyson, the vacuum cleaner people.
I remember you telling me that.
And
Yeah,
they are still, their chief engineer is James Dyson, who came up with the company, right? And they are constantly working on new things and releasing new products. When I was there, I saw the headphones, I saw stuff that hasn't come out yet. And is very similar to that environment, even though I was miles away from, the product team and whatever. You're still bound by that same rule, right? Because you are seeing those products, you are seeing people walking around with the stuff that's not out yet. And it was very secretive. It surprises me that someone at Apple would be in a way that careless. If you're
yeah,
working with
exactly that.
iOS 26, bloody hell, right? Even the name itself is like something completely like it's a massive change. yeah, it's insane that they were careless to be like, there's well, not a stranger, but someone who's not in an Apple world and might see something, right? I'd be shitting myself if I worked at Apple and like someone is in my place. Like, hang on, I can't have any calls. I can't be talking to anybody whilst this person is here. Simple as that.
What a terrible friend, though, as well. Like, just quite. What a terrible friend to do that to your friend, just for some extra cash from Jon Prosser. But then you saw this week that guy walking around with a prototype iPhone 17, or what looked like a prototype iPhone 17, filming it with an iPhone 16. Like, it was just, and then he got photographed. But you have, that person's protected, right? Their job is probably to go test it in the wild, maybe network testing. It looked like
cars, right? Cars. They covered the cars with
camouflage,
film and whatever.
It looked heavily, lunchboxed. Like, there was a big thick case over the top of it. But then I saw some people commenting saying this person's going to lose their job. And I'm like, no, they're not. They would have got protection and authorization from Apple to go out and do this. They're fine. Like, we got that all the time at Samsung. If we had to go test something out cameras wise in public, we had to get written express permission that if someone saw us with that unit,
and the foldables might be interesting, right? When they start doing that, because that's like, it'd be hard to cover.
It'd be hard to disguise that one.
Yeah, but it's not like that guy that you're talking about now, for instance, left it in a coffee shop years ago. Was that the iPhone 8 or something?
Was it the 4?
Yeah, there was got left in the coffee shop, wasn't
it? Or 5,
he went
I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, as you say, he was out doing, obviously that device had been signed out under his name, right, go and spend the day testing this, and this on this device. And that's, somebody was just smart enough to see it and recognise that, that could be the 17, and took a picture of it, that's all. And it was a member of the public.
I'm going to say, I was paranoid a lot when I used to take devices out early. I was like, I looked around, felt like I was in a CIA movie, because I was just always panicking that someone's going to notice I'm using like the S22 Ultra or something like that. That was never that important. No one
cares. It was Samsung.
Really?
Come on, I was due that one.
It hurts because it's true.
There you go. That's probably as good a way as any to end it. Right, I think we've got through everything we needed to. We'll be back.
I got nothing.
Of course.
Thanks so much, everyone, for subscribing as well.
I got nothing. That's as good a sign as it gets. I got nothing. We're done. Okay. Daniel's got nothing.
Thanks for
Alex's got
subbing.
nothing.
Saying thank you, because there's been a few subs and a few people sharing our content, so this really helps, guys. So thank you for that.
Thank you indeed. Yeah, and of course, -16. We'll be back with you in just a couple of weeks' time. See you all then.
Cheers all.